best of Jason Rinker and share it with others. Christy Lorray is loyalty, courage, and grace. The truth is right in front of you. So Christy's and Tyler's and Jake's victories and wins, that is how we celebrate and we honor Jason. Thank you, Mayor Rossi, for acknowledging my friend Christy and Tyler and Jake and reminding us that caring for loved ones that are left behind is how we honor one's memory, not with pieces of stone. Please go home, everyone, peacefully and safely. Thank you for the opportunity. My name is Vernon.
What's your practice?
Is there anyone else wishing to?
Let's find out where she works.
What's your name?
On the, please, order. Is there anyone else wishing to address the council? Seeing no one come forward, I'll ask for a motion to go to the public.
Moved.
Moved by Mr. Sparta. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mrs. Di Benedetto. Roll call vote.
All fair.
Oh, roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Di Benedetto,
Yes.
Councilmember Higgins.
Yes.
Councilmember Sparta,
Yes.
Council President Rizzuto.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Floor is closed. Can we move to council comments? Starting with Mr. Higgins, if you'd like.
Well, we're being asked to consider overriding what the mayor did. I don't think there's going to be a decision made on that tonight. We hear what you're saying. The idea was to gather as much information from all sides as possible to gather the facts. And as a third party, or on the council, but a third party to all that took place, I have some general questions that haven't been brought up tonight and will have to be brought up before a decision, or before at least I vote. And some of those have to do with having knowledge, having been on the Little League Board of Directors. We had a gentleman, Ray Bell, who passed away. Ray Bell was the president of the league. He died, and one of my co-coaches, John Kilsey, went to the rec board and made an idea to come up with a plaque on a rock down at Bell Field. It's been there for 25 years. There was no controversy. In addition to that, it just so happened 15 years later, his daughter, Melanie Bell, was Miss New Jersey from Vernon. There was a sign in town when you came in. For 10 years, it was up. And so the question is, how did that get up there with no controversy? There was a lady named Peg Stewart, Teacher of the Year in Vernon, signed for 10 years, 515. Welcome to Vernon, home of Peg Stewart. Miss Fitzsimmons, Teacher of the Year, signed for her. A woman from West Milford, Weinbrink, won the first Olympic gold medal for snow shoes or whatever, and it was right on Route 23. And lastly, I'm currently a member of the Horseshoe League in town for the last 15 years. And Don Kauser, the gentleman who started the league with his family, and they're still running it, passed away about 4 years ago. And there's a sign down here, and it honors Mr. Kauser. All those things happened. All those things happened without politics being involved. And there's a reason for that. Somehow, politics got involved with this situation. That's why we're here tonight, because there's been politics on too many sides. And that's the part that has to be funneled out. Why did it happen? What was the right procedure to follow? Why wasn't that procedure followed? Why did a mayor have to get involved? Who was asking for some special treatment? Was there special treatment? Is it a right for somebody to donate a monument and have a sign up? I don't know all those things. We're going to find out. And then apparently, I guess Jason also had a plaque down at Maple Grange Park. I heard that. I didn't see it. Is that true? Was it hanging on a sign? Okay, somebody told me that. If that was the case, I just wonder how that got there. So all these things are out of the ordinary in terms of the way things always happened from some process and procedure. So I'd like to find a process and procedure, because even tonight, there were a lot of people that spoke tonight, very well spoken, very well done. I like that. Some of them, I guess I'll say, are the firecrackers that start a lot of the controversy in town, who are Facebook experts. And that's what apparently, in my opinion, led to this. And there's just too much controversy, and it never stops, and it's been going on forever. So there are consequences to statements. You know, there are people that live in town here, people that don't live in town here that had something to say. They all got to say it. And you know, it's a lot to consider and it's fairly complicated and I really appreciate everybody saying what they did. I have to be speaking with the council people and we might have to get legal representation. That's my take on the whole thing.
I do have a few comments. I wanna, a lot of people did talk about the tone in the town and a lot of people who spoke about that contribute to the negative tone in the town. And I'm not saying I'm not involved in that either. So I think maybe some self-reflection is due. That wasn't what I wanted to say tonight, but I just felt the need to say that. What I do want to say tonight is I understand as a town, we used to have a wildlife education course for people who moved up here from down south. And I think we need to bring that back. So, oh, Anthony, well, if somebody could let me know what I need to do to get the ball rolling, to put that back in place, because we do have a lot of people moving up here from other areas where they don't have the wildlife that we have up here and we're having incidents. And I think it's important that everybody understands how to deal with wildlife when you encounter it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Sparta.
If you run into a bear, run downhill because their front paws are shorter than their.
Is that true?
Yes.
though?
Yes, it is.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What if you don't
And
have?
and
a
you
hill?
also have to be faster than the bear.
Which is 35 miles per hour, right? Yeah.
Depends on the bear.
Or wait, faster than the slowest person there.
Right. Sure. I'm not gonna make a lot of comments tonight. I just want to thank everybody for coming out tonight, voicing their opinions, concerns, about, the issue going on in town right now. So, you know, obviously there's a lot to digest. And I know we're gonna have to, rely on council on to how to proceed from here. So, again, thank you for everybody coming out and making the comments that they made. So that's all I'm gonna say.
Thank you, Mr. Sparta. Indeed, tonight is a difficult night because we hear reflections and comments from people who have two different sides. What becomes difficult and even more entangled in terms of the decisions that we're required to make is the separation of law from emotion. I know you're going to say, well, this is a small town, not really, but it's a town. And yet we have to be able to follow the rule of law. There were many comments made, and I noted the ones which were actually concerning the law. When Mr. Burrell spoke, I reflected on the conversations that I had had with him prior to the establishment of the memorial at the particular site. And the resolution that was passed by the council at that time, 3-2, was to name that park the Vernon Township Youth Memorial Park, dedicated to the youth of our community, many of whom were not able to attend because they were no longer with us. I expressed my comments to the then Mayor Burrell, and he separated his thoughts from mine, stating that he would not agree to that the council did not have the right to name the facility. Quite the contrary, in my point of view, and the research that I had done, is that our form of government is patterned after the United States federal government. And in that form of government, whether people understand this or not, assets of the government, like assets of the community, are not named by the administration. The administration is given the responsibility for its care and its well-being. But the actual naming of those assets are the responsibility of the legislature. Just ask any congressman or state senator who was involved with renaming a base or a fort or a command and having somebody's name taken off of that base or fort and replaced by someone else and having to go back to his constituency and make them understand it. It doesn't happen easily. And that's essentially what I told then at the time, Mrs. Rinker, when she asked and approached me to have the facility named after Jason. My response to her and to anybody else who cared to listen was that I don't believe in naming a facility after an individual. You can find any number of people who might think otherwise about an individual come to a situation like this. My response was that I preferred to name it after an organization. I felt it removed the possibility of this type of separation and hopefully this type of conflict. So when this situation occurred and Mr. Burrell, then Mayor Burrell, agreed to place a remembrance in the facility, we had a discussion. The discussion was, and it was a compromise, that a small part of that facility was going to be named in honor of Jason Rinker. And there was a donation that was being made to the township to afford the construction and placement of the flagpole, the flagpoles, the pavers, the monument, plaque itself, a big sign at Maple Grange Park, and a small sign denoting its dedication. I felt that compromise was okay, and so did the council. The only alternative at that point, where we had agreed to name the park, the Vernon Township Youth Memorial Park, passed by a 3-2 vote with myself, Mrs. Bucieri, and Mr. Brian Lynch in the assent, and former Mayor Harry Shortway and Mike Fury, thank you, in dissent. The only way at that point to determine how we were going to do this, because of the strong stance taken by the mayor, was to literally go to court and have somebody issue a summary judgment. Council at that point really felt that to spend that type of money in legal fees wasn't worth it, because what were we proving? The mayor said that he was willing to name the park, the Vernon Township Recreation and Pump Track Park, and which seemed fine and logical to me and to the members of the council who had voted to name it otherwise. That was law. Hearing the comments of those who cried what happened, and the family of Jason, who came here and said that, you know, he would never have wanted this, the council can't enter into that. We have no knowledge of what took place. We can only go by what is law and what can be testified to. Mr. Higgins did indeed have a good comment. this is going to require some type of litigation. I would hope that the litigation that comes out of the results of that litigation would bring quiet, not only to Mrs. Rinker, but to Jason's wife or whatever, or his child, and that we can put this behind us. To come and give you the timeline as to who did what serves no purpose. I'm trying to avoid a protracted action. Council did indeed receive a recommendation for placement on the ballot through the initiative portion of the law. 578 members of the township signed that petition. That's not a small amount, considering the amount of time necessary requiring to get those signatures. What is necessary now is for the council to act before it becomes a problem with timing regarding the next election in November, because ballots have to be printed. This may require us to have a special meeting in order to address this particular issue. I see no problem with that. I do see a problem with if we wait too long and then there is a requirement for a special election, that becomes an onerous court cost to the township, which I really don't want to see. So my counsel to my good friends on the council, use the different words, the pun, is that we address this as quickly as possible. I've asked Mr. King, who is here in the stead of Mr. Mensch, who is our normal attorney, to please address this. I'm hoping that we can meet and provide enough impetus to the mayor to see that if there's some way that we can address this. Certainly, it's not the council's position at this point to take a position one way or the other. The comments that I'm saying and I'm making right now are not the comments from the council. We haven't had a chance to meet. They are my comments based upon, as I said earlier, what I know to be the law, what I know to have happened. And we simply can't make legal decisions on the basis of emotion. I would hope you would understand and grant this type of understanding to my fellow council members. They take their responsibilities very seriously. I know them. And for those who know me, you know from my past experience in council and as well as being on the Board of Education, that I truly take my responsibilities very, very deeply. And I would hope that you would grant us the time and avoid the conflict and the intervention, if you will, in regards to, going after individuals, because it doesn't serve to help anybody. So thank you very much for coming. I appreciate your taking the time and the decorum that you have showed. And I appreciate your interest in the development of our community. Is there anyone else wishing to say anything? No? Motion to adjourn?
Moved.
Moved by Mr. Sparta. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mrs. De Benedetto. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. The meeting is adjourned.